to the Yorkshire and Humber Youth Send Alliance podcast. I'm Tarryn, and this is...
My name's Theo, and I'm a member of the Yorkshire and Humber Youth Send Alliance.
My name's Robert. I'm a member of the Yorkshire and Humber Youth Alliance also.
And I'm Elli Brickwood. I'm a senior lecturer in education at the University of Huddersfield. So, thank you for joining us, and we're going to talk through sort of three areas around education, employment and community. So, starting with education, if you can tell me what makes you feel included and understood at school, college or higher education, what's make you feel settled?
I'd probably say having them more, be more patient and just having just a lot more understanding and knowledge on difference and disabilities, because a lot of them have absolutely no clue, and they're actually working with a lot of them probably undiagnosed as well.
So that's, sorry, the staff you're talking
The
about there, the staff and...
all kinds of staff,
Yeah.
dinner ladies, caretakers, because a lot of students are going to more go to the teacher assistants and dinner ladies and caretakers than teachers, because sometimes they're quite intimidating.
Yeah.
And because of that authority figure, the other staff are easier to approach.
Fab.
I think for me, it's like talking about that inclusion and understanding is having friends. So when I was at university, I found it very difficult at first, but I found friends, and some of them, and majority of them, are neurodiverse, so that's been really good to share experiences. So that's something I would say for me, and I think for my friends as well, is having that support network from their friends. So that's something, again, that's quite important to me.
Cool.
One thing I found, as I know it's a case that you just get sometimes amazing lecturers who will put the time in, but when they do, it really makes a difference, because the thing is, I had one lecturer who would just let me come to his office pretty much most times and just work through things, even if I didn't understand something, or I feel like having that sort of tailored support is really key. Also, having the spaces that are neurodivergent friendly is good. Like, I remember the library places, you were able to switch the lights so there was sort of sensory aware and things like that. So those were the two things that really stood out to me.
And I think, sort of summing up what the three of you have said there, it's about relationships, understanding and spaces, isn't it? Spaces that are suitable. I think that's really important. So sort of building on that, if you could change one thing about the school day to make it better for neurodivergent or SEND young people, what would you do? What would that one change be that you would make?
Having like flexible seating in classrooms, like being able to sit on the floor or a beanbag, or having a yoga ball or a spinny chair, so that I can concentrate better and not be sat in one uncomfortable position for an hour or 2 hours, depending how long the lesson is, and having space so that I could just lay on the floor, have floor time. Yeah. Because if you're feeling a bit terrible, usually if you get a snack and you lay on the floor, you'll be fine in 10 minutes.
It's a good way to look at it. Excellent. What else?
It's a difficult one. I think more or less having kind of spaces. So if you need that time out, you're not having to go out into a corridor or something where it's a bit crowded. You've got these like more specialised spaces, so people don't see you as well, feeling frustrated, feeling upset, feeling angry or worried about things, and they're not going to come up to you and you just need to be alone. So I think that's really important.
Yeah. Anything else you think?
Picking up on what Theo said, I feel like there's an argument for having something like a sensory room, where you can just go and escape for a bit. And schools argue that they don't have the space for that, but they have a room somewhere they can create into that sort of space.
Yeah.
And I feel like it wouldn't take that many resources to make it into something that would help neurodivergent students with their sort of throughout the day.
Yeah, so space is a biggie, isn't it, I think? And you're right, schools saying there is no space, but there's generally an exclusion room, isn't there? So, yeah, making that into a sort of sensory space would be really useful, wouldn't it? And I guess access to that space has to be sort of quite constant rather than just on a timetable. It's more, when you need a snack and I lie down on the floor. Yeah, cool. So what do you wish that teachers understood better about neurodivergent or SEND young people?
That a lot of them have slow processing, so in lessons when they're given a time, by the time that time is done, I've only just processed the task and I haven't even done it. So a lot of the time I'd never actually completed any task or any work because I'd only just processed what I was supposed to do or what they'd just taught us. So I was always either in isolation because I didn't do any work, or having to go at break times and lunch to finish off my work, and I was just like, I've told you that I need more time, but you actually, it's like it's gone in one ear and come out the other, and we never had the conversation. So just more understanding and less pressure and more patience to give us time to understand and process.
Cool, sounds good.
I think having that sort of awareness that everybody's different and that you might see somebody within the school who might talk to themselves, or somebody might knock on the wall, or somebody might do something different or might have a different trait that might not align to always what you think a student should look like, not just professional, more coming to a classroom, get on with it. They might find that a bit difficult. So I think having that sort of awareness that everybody's going to be different, there's different traits, and being able to cater towards that within your within yourself, so being able to prepare yourselves for that within school.
Anything to add?
And I think having the teachers understand that we perhaps process some of what we're supposed to do with the work differently, or that sometimes the way that typical people process what you're supposed to do with the work just isn't compatible with how neurodivergent brains work. For example, once I had I think it was a food tech lesson in or assignment at school, and my brain couldn't understand the assignment, did it wrong, and for doing it wrong, rather than the teacher coming and explaining it to me, I got detention. So I feel like more understanding of how to make those adaptations would be beneficial.
Yeah, so, I mean, you've all talked about there really about being punished for traits that are related to neurodivergence. And I think if we sort of summarise all three areas that you've covered there, they're only little things we're asking, aren't we, really? Which is knowledge, understanding, and actually taking the time to see what's best for you. Yeah, fab. So talking about employment, so how have you found moving from school, college, into work or training? How have you found that transition?
So I didn't really have that because in college they said they gave me support, but they didn't. It was just a broken laptop. And then after a bit they were like, for some reason the support isn't working, so we're gonna have to like take you off the course and remove you from the course. And I was like, well, you didn't. I had no say in it because they had meetings with my parents that I didn't know of. So there was just, I had no idea until my parents got the email and they showed me the email and it said, because the support haven't been working and you haven't been engaging, we're going to have to remove you from the course. So
Wow.
a broken laptop ain't going to support me. But so I didn't really have that step into work. I've just left college, been kicked out of college, and then my EHCP came in a week later, so I didn't get to use that. So it's been nearly 2 years and I haven't been able to do anything because I haven't got any qualifications and I haven't been able to get a job because I don't have any experience.
So you're kind of a bit lost in the
Yeah.
middle. Yeah.
I think for me, in terms of like, it's great that we had like university service there, careers support that I can still access for 3 years, so that was really, really good. But I think another service I've been going through, and I'm still going through, is called Pathways to Work. So that's a council service, and every council has them because I've done a bit of research into them, and they've been quite helpful in being able to move from university to into work. But I found it very, very difficult because I know a lot of my friends have who are not neurodiverse, but some of my neurodiverse friends have found that difficult as well, to be able to move from university and college into work, because the stuff, they're applying for things, they're looking for things, they're always looking for things, but there's a lot of knockbacks. It's not as easy in the industry I'm in, which is the media industry, so there's a lot of that. It's been quite difficult, and for me it's actually been quite difficult in lots of ways, really.
Do you want to tell us a couple of those ways that it's been difficult? Do you think what's made it inaccessible or made it difficult?
I think what's made it difficult is kind of like, I think, you know, leaving university and you've had 3 years of support, 3 years of stability and all that, and then you're like, you've moved back home, your parents are there to support you, but it's really kind of like, what do I do work-wise? Where do I go now? And it's looking at jobs that are not always tailored to your career skill set and what you want and what you're going to work in. So it's been a little more like, Mum and Dad have said, going through the channels that I'm going through, like Pathways to Work, you'll find something, they'll help you find something, and finally that's coming to something. But it felt like a number of months since July last year up to now where it's felt a little bit more difficult. And even applying for stuff when you've not got the right skill set they want, then that can be a little bit more difficult.
Cool, thank you.
I think also the Pathways to Work thing is not available to everyone.
Right.
Or if it is available to everyone, no one lets you know. And me and Theo did the same course at the same university, and out of university I applied for, I lost track of 600 jobs.
Wow.
And the amount of support was just basically zero out of university. I say that you do get 2 years after you do get 2 years career support after you leave. However, there's it's not specialised
Right.
to people with disabilities or neurodivergence. At least when I did my masters, the university have longer appointments for people with longer careers appointments for people with neurodivergence.
Yeah.
Which still isn't great, but at
No.
least it's sort of
It's a start.
It's a
isn't it?
start.
But, yeah.
And I started to sort of lose faith in the system a bit, because I know this isn't the case with every single employer, but you start to think they're looking at your application, seeing disability, and just thinking thinking what's the point in employing someone with a disability. And then I looked, and perhaps this doesn't fit into this question, but I'm going to say it anyway.
Go on, go for it.
And when I finally did get a role after university, it was an apprenticeship, paying less than the minimum wage. Had to go back to college, and to get access to work, to get to the job.
Yeah.
As much as I could have got the bus, and I did get the bus in the end, which is 2 buses or a bus and a walk. It would have cost me more than my wages.
Wow.
To access to work.
So effectively, you were paying them for doing the job for them. Yeah. And I think that's come up before, hasn't it, with the use of sort of disabled people, neurodivergent people, and, you know, volunteering. Oh, let's take you on. But actually, paying you, different matter. Yeah. That's something that's come up, hasn't it? So, tell me what you think your careers advice was like. You've mentioned sort of university, but sort of throughout school and right through into anything else.
In high school, it was kind of non-existent. Like, we had one meeting in year 11 with what was the careers advisor, but I think he was just a history teacher. And then I went into the meeting. He said, "Do you know what you want to be?" And I was like, "I want to be a midwife." And it was like, "What course are you doing?" And I was like, "I was going to do health and social care." And I was like, "Okay, I might see you, I might not. I'll see you later. I'll probably see you in whatever lesson I've got next." And that was it for the whole of high school.
Wow.
And then in college, I didn't get that far enough to go to the career side of it. So I have no idea.
Yeah. Okay.
For me, I had a lot different. So when I was in primary school, my parents were told you'd never academically catch up, but I've proved that I can go beyond the limits. And I, in high school, we had a lady who would come in, and so a lot different to Tarryn's experience. But it kind of, she'd come in, she was called Adele, and she worked like more the SEND students, looking at colleges and stuff like that. And when I got to college, I had a guy who I would meet once a week, called Toby, brilliant guy, got to know him a little bit outside of college as well, due to a few interests we had. And he basically helped me write all my stuff, like personal statements and stuff like that. And he was able to kind of like guide me in that direction and stuff like that, and help me with any bits of work that I needed. So the support was there, and a bit of the careers advice and stuff was there. And then at university we had lecturers and tutors to be able to help you with your careers advice and the career service as well. So that career advice has always been there, but it's been there in different ways throughout school.
Can I just add, we went to the same school. He was just a few years ahead.
Right.
So it was kind of there, and then it just disappeared.
And we went to the same university.
Yeah. Yeah, and what was your experience in terms of careers advice?
So in school, the careers advisor, Bev, was actually quite good. But I kind of felt like when I spoke to other people, I wasn't being listened to. I could have probably saved sort of about 2 years off doing college if I hadn't sort of been swayed towards staying in the sixth form, doing 2 extra GCSEs, and them shaping what I was doing rather than me shaping what I was doing. And I think it was decided that it would be better for me in terms of support, whether I liked it or not, to stay in sixth form for a few extra years, which resulted in me being in college for 5 years. And I kind of feel like I could have got there easier if I had done it a different way, like the way I wanted to do it. Especially since I went from doing those 2 extra GCSEs to then going on to college where for some reason I did the exact same qualification but just in BTEC format rather than GCSE format, and then went on to level 3. I kind of thought I could have saved 3 years here, or at least 1. And it felt a bit like I didn't have the control over it. But in general, the career's advice was actually quite good. It's just the control I had over what I was actually doing was a bit taken away from me.
Yeah, and I think to kind of add to that in sort of what me and Robert's saying, I kind of was told best thing for you might be at college, even though I went down the career path I did, maybe to do a year or so, like a foundation year or so, where you're skills based, and that never materialised. I was a bit like, I don't really want that. And as well, when I did arrive at college, I was like, oh, it's better because you get the qualification of, you can either have language or literature that then adds up to your GCSE English. I was a little bit more like, they were a little bit more like, oh, it's better if you've got your literature, but better if you do language as well, so that then you can actually, it betters your qualification and stuff like that. And, I just thought that, thinking back on it, I didn't particularly like or really agree with, because I already had a qualification there, so that's something else as well. But I can see where they were trying to come from and trying to help me in the best possible way as well.
So it sounds like sort of varying picture, non-existent, or being told what to do, potentially, and how much of that's linked to the SEND, the neurodivergence, or how much of it's linked to funding, support. Thinking about work in general, so if you were in work, and what supports or adjustment would make work easier for you, and what might need to change to make that happen?
I'd probably say, depending on the work, because everywhere's different, I'd probably say like a place where I can go that's dark, because working all day, it's usually like long hours. I'm not going to be able to sit there or concentrate for that amount of time without having a walk around or a sit down or somewhere to go where I can just decompress, because I go home and sleep for days after just like a few hours out, because it's so tiring. And that might be because of my fibromyalgia or other things, but it's so tiring to do long hours of things, and you're masking as well a lot of the time, so you need to have some place and some area and some time built into your schedule or your day at work that your managers know about, really, because if they don't know you're leaving work for 10 minutes, you're probably going to get like having a meeting with them and a warning, or I don't know how works, but a warning or something about it. So having the flexibility to just leave, because it's a lot working, I'm guessing. I don't know.
I mean, we keep fighting for therapy dogs to help us along that.
Oh, yeah,
I
absolutely.
mean, wouldn't that make the difference?
Every dog should
Yeah.
have therapy dogs, therapy
Exactly.
cats.
Perfect.
Just have a cat on your lap. I'd work so much better if I had a cat on my lap.
And you'd be so much better regulated.
Yeah, exactly.
Go on.
Yeah, my dad thought about that with our dog because he's a therapist getting it because he's a greyhound, so they're sort of quite lazy
perfect.
dogs. But for me, I think one of the things is training. I think an example is that I went out with a group of friends into Leeds. We went to this bar and the guy refused to serve me because I was walking around with my friend quite a lot. We've up to a few people who we knew, so I was talking to them. And he said, "Oh, we're not going to serve you." Until we said to somebody, you know, he's got send. They were like, "Oh, can we just have a word?" And so they took us outside and said, "Oh, we're so sorry. We can bring you back in. You can have a drink in our bar." But I thought, no, I don't want to do that. I'll go up to some other friends who are in a bar just to cut the doors up. And I thought, that's where I'd rather be, with them. So I think having this awareness of like training so they can deal with send people when they're in their establishment or even in the workforce is really beneficial.
Yeah, cool.
So two things. One is transport. I feel like as much as sort of transport companies and things like that don't communicate with employers, and employers don't communicate with transport companies and like council and stuff like that. The sort of postcode lottery of how much public transport you get, and how that restricts how you can work is just ridiculous. I live in a little village, but go 40 minutes down the road, and I get a bus every 2 hours. They get 5 buses a day. They stop at like 5:25. I go 40 minutes down the road, and they're every 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And go quite a bit later as well. And going to work, as I think I mentioned earlier on, I had to get either 2 buses and then sort of basically spend my wages on the transport, which I suppose everyone has to do, but sort of to a certain extent.
To a certain extent, but not in the way that you're ending up in a negative.
Yeah. I think one of the campaigns that the Tender Alliance has is around transport and the thing around the disabled bus pass being restricted to 9 or 9:30 depending on where you live, which basically leads to a cash grab from disabled people that just is unfair and takes it away from it. Takes sort of the access away from us.
Yeah.
I mean, ironically, this morning I got a bus before 9:30, and weirdly, the driver let me on with my bus pass.
Bonus. But you can't rely on it.
You can't rely on it.
No.
I mean, it's quite handy. I know quite a lot of the drivers because it's a small bus company.
But if it was a standardised, you can use.
Yeah.
Because actually, a disabled bus pass not being able to be used till 9 o'clock, 9:30. Most work starts at 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
So you're almost suggesting this disabled person doesn't need to get to work.
Yeah.
So.
And then going on to a different thing.
Yeah, go for it.
I feel like the thing about regulation at work, not regulation in the legal sense,
Yeah.
regulation in the sensory
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I used to listen to music while I work,
Yeah.
but was told not to listen to music while I work. And when my conditions, I need sound input to be able to concentrate.
Yeah.
It's just throws you off, and I feel like employers could be a bit more understanding.
I think employers could be a lot more understanding, because actually, you know, if having something in your ears is not really stopping you doing your work, in fact, if it's improving your work, surely it's a little thing to go for, isn't it?
Yeah.
Absolutely tiny. Cool. So thinking about all those things, I think, you know, it's probably going to come up to this one. So what one change would you make for jobs or workplaces to feel more welcoming to neurodivergent or SEND young people?
Giving them extra time, like if you've got deadlines. Like I've never hit a deadline, you know, it's very rare that I've ever hit a deadline. It's either been 2 weeks late, months late, years late, could be anything. Either giving them extra time or I say just when it gets done, but I mean for work that's probably not going to work, but giving them some extra time or giving them it earlier.
Yeah.
So
Good
then
way
you can
around
start looking at it and then, you know, but I'd say just if it's not on time, they're probably on a side quest, doing something else.
So a bit of flexibility really there, isn't it? Yeah, cool.
I think I've already touched on the training aspect, which I think is really which is a key priority. But I think as well, having like not making like workplaces or for SEND young people, not just saying, "Oh, we can give you this voluntary. Let's give it to you as an actual job because they're capable to do it." So it's not like that. Not everyone is. If somebody is capable of doing something like, I'm really good with media and I have SEND, other people around here are good with different things, and it's not saying, oh yeah, we'll give you voluntary, we'll do this voluntary piece of work with you, or have you tried doing this and you might have to do it voluntary, rather than saying, I think you're capable, you've been doing this for a number of years, like something that's coming up for me, I've been doing something for a number of years, I can't talk too much about it, but you've been for a number of years, and now it's starting to become more of a reality in sort of the form of work. So it's stuff like that I think is really important. Knowing people that they've got qualities and capabilities to do it, rather than thinking, oh, yeah, we'll just put you in voluntary, which I think is a real priority. Noticing that and being able to adjust to that and adapt to that.
Cool.
I think picking up on something I said, but also something Tarryn said, being able to allow people in the workplace to have more control over their sensory environment, I think that could be really key. And I think it's not just the being able to have music on or whatever. It's the lights, it's the environment around you. It's just a lot sometimes, and if you need to have headphones in, if you need to go and work somewhere else, there should be that flexibility. One thing I did forget to mention earlier on was particularly good, because it's not all bad. It's not all bad, but particularly good was that my workplace for the apprenticeship that I mentioned had a 9:30 flexibility. So I actually could get in anywhere between 9 and 9:30 and not get docked pay. I always felt a bit like I had to make it up somewhere else, but sort of, though I never particularly bothered. So it is possible to do things, just and that wasn't even just for for people with disabilities or
No,
anything. It was just
general.
Everyone.
So I think, that flexibility is really key, isn't it? And it's knowing what needs to be flexible. And I guess if I think about the flexibility I have in my job, as long as my job gets done, it's kind of, you can do that job at home absolutely fine, where you can actually regulate and you can have your dog on your lap or your cat on your lap and you can, go lie down and have a snack like you said before and then get back to it as long as the job gets done. And I think that's the key, isn't it? If we want to do the job, and actually we're generally really good at jobs. It's just finding the right one and being able to do it flexibly. So let's think about community now. So can you tell me about accessibility in spaces in your community? So places you use, how easy they are to get access to, etc. That sort of stuff.
So I go to, in my local area, is at the Ozone, so at the football grounds, and it's a group with 2 youth workers, and we go there every Friday and just have a chat and work on things. And we go to the local authority partnership board meetings, so we're with all the big managers of everything, so the head of SEND and different things. And we have, like we've spoken to Ofsted, they wanted to interview us and doing a lot of that stuff within Barnsley, because me and Theo helped set it up because there wasn't anything in Barnsley, like a youth a group for SEND. It was all like youth council and all that stuff. It wasn't directly related to SEND, which meant that when we're doing workshops, we're going further afield, and nothing was ever in Barnsley, so we wanted to start something in Barnsley. And I also go to SEND Alliance with Chelsea, and we do everything. We've done all sorts, we've done loads of stuff. But a lot of the time, accessing it is transport.
Yeah.
It's just either not on time, not reliable, cancelled, late. There's traffic everywhere. I struggle with buses anyway. I can drive, but if you ask me to pay for insurance, I don't have enough money for insurance. But I could get a car, just not insurance.
Not insurance.
And I'd find that I sometimes just abandon going to places because of getting the bus, because I struggle so much on the bus. So if I could afford a car, I would, but having a car would just be so much easier and I'd be able to get a job then, because I wouldn't be just abandoning going to work because I couldn't get on the bus or go into these places, because sometimes I don't turn up because I'm having to get the bus or having to rely on parents and siblings to give me a lift when they've got jobs and places they need to be. So just transport is, I think everywhere transport is just a pain to
So you're trying to make all these positive changes yourself, like changes to the systems, but actually getting to those opportunities is just a nightmare.
Yeah.
I would say the same. Transport's a big one, but I think differently as well is putting some sort of like your events and your meetings and stuff in town centres, city centres, a lot more in the centre, like, because football ground's a little bit outside the town centre, so sometimes, and when we go to Priory campus to do these meetings, that's again a little quite far outside of the town centre, so having them sort of like putting them more in town centre base, but sometimes it's all about space and have you got these spaces to do it and stuff like that. So that's really, really important that we have like more central location or easier and more accessible locations to get to.
I feel like in the group I'm part of, Flying High, which is basically the North Yorkshire version of Barclay and Beyond, we do a lot about making things accessible and but transport comes up more than sort of its fair share of it is transport, and I feel like there's a focus on that and having the access to get to things that we could use
Yeah.
if we got the if we had the means to get there, or if even the things were a bit more accessible themselves.
Yeah.
But it's just not, and I feel like there's also a financial barrier. I mean, as a disabled person, it's on average costs about £1,000 more a year
Yeah.
to be as a disabled person, which is a real barrier to things like memberships to gyms and things like that. And because we just don't, there is a disparity in the income we get as well.
So, what needs to change in your community to better meet your needs?
I think probably mainly transport, because to do anything else, I need to be able to get to those places, and at the moment I can't. I mean, ideally I'd want a car, but insurance for new drivers is so expensive that it's like £2,000.
Yeah.
And
So perhaps some support with that would be
yeah,
good.
so like support with new drivers getting cars, because we want our independence. Buses don't give us independence.
No.
They think it gives us independence, but really it doesn't, because I'm still relying on my parents to give me lifts, because buses are so unreliable and there's not routes everywhere.
Yeah.
So between where I live and a place where I'd like to get to see my friend a lot, there's no bus route that way. You have to go into town, then out of town, and then get another bus. And a lot of places I go and I help run a youth theatre, and it's 2.5 hours on the bus, half an hour drive, and I'm the responsible adult. I've got to be there.
Yeah.
So when they get there, I have to be there.
So you have to be there
for
3 hours,
safeguarding.
setting off 3 hours in advance.
Yeah, and for safeguarding, I've got to be there. I can't just not be there, because kids will be dropped off and there'll be no one there to look after them. So I have to get lifts there, which doesn't help them because they've got to get to work and have the car to do other things. So ultimately, if buses were more reliable and it would be much easier to get to places to be able to do stuff.
I think for me, and I noticed a while ago, I go and watch Leeds United, which is my football team, and that comes to every conversation somewhere. But I saw a video, an accessibility video, and I'm thinking, where are actually your accessible points? Where are places in this stadium where people might sit who have a disability? Your sensory rooms, they're not primarily put in place, and I know in some stadiums they are, you can see them or you know whereabouts they are, but I don't know where like the accessible points to get into the stadium are. I know that people sit around the edge of the pitch, but they don't want to sit right at the front, so better in the sort of upper in the stands. So I think that, looking at where accessible points are, but being able to have them more prominently, or whatever word it is to use. And they are doing redevelopments to the stadium, so that's something I could probably feed back into what they're doing with that and make them just check that. So I think that's really, really important.
It's the law to make things accessible, and arguably we shouldn't have to fight for something that is our legal right, our human right.
Thank you for listening today.
And also, you can find us on our website at sendyouvoice.com.